All right, we are back. I think I gotta start killing that in like a couple minutes before 9:30 so I can get everything set. Let me know, give me a quick sound check though, make sure you guys can hear me, that everything is good. Nasdaq rallied up, looks like it put in new Globex highs there, 69.72 75s. 69.75s now. So a big first pop here out of the Nasdaq. We got those 69.79 quarter levels in place up above. We got about 4 points away from there. Let's see here. Awesome, good. You guys can hear. So this is going to trigger a potential daily buy setup on the daily chart down here. So if we look at this, you guys can see, we've got the sell-off, we rallied back, we changed the trend on the hourly chart, and then we're pulling back here and then potentially triggering a daily buy setup right here on this move today. So the close today is going to be kind of important here. 69.79 quarters. I really want to sell this, but I can't. That's a big first move there out of the Nasdaq. I mean, what do we just rip, like 40 points there off the open? I definitely did not see that being the case there. Yeah, I mean, I want to sell it, but I'm not going to do it. I mean, we already pushed through that level. That level is 79 quarters here. And that was a break above level. So like if we get above that level, then we've got, room to the upside. And again, that's that 71.45 quarter level up there from a swing perspective. I thought we were going to get a move to the downside first before we were able to get this potential swing rally. And again, this may not be the swing rally. Like it could be a fake out here. I don't know that yet. But we are basically 10 points through that level at this point here, first thing this morning. And the range on the day is already 52.5 points. We are 5 minutes into the trading day, and the range is 52.5 points on the Nasdaq. That is a big move. It's a little over $1,000 per contract in the first 5 minutes, and we're extending that range now as we continue to push higher here. So I am not going to step in front of this freight train. Let's see, we got some small levels there. Let's see. Is there something leading this move? Like, is Apple here? Yeah, Apple turning around a bit there after trading under 200 yesterday. Let's take a look here. Netflix, Amazon, Google. Nice move coming out of Google here so far. Oh, Facebook. Facebook 150. From a swing, if we do start to get the potential for a swing down here, Facebook is nice. I mean, we've got the reversal bar on the earnings announcement, the gap up, this small pullback so far, and potentially triggering the daily buy. So, this daily buy here, I don't think it's good just yet because I want to see it in confluence with the markets. But this is something that could, end up getting a rally kind of back up here towards 176s or so, 169s to 176 on first move there. But it looks like Apple's kind of the driving force here. First thing in this move, up 1% there for the Nasdaq. which is kind of surprising that the Dow was strong yesterday because Apple was weak. I mean, obviously Apple gapped down a little bit, sold off about $6-7, and then kind of reverse trend there. But Apple makes up a large portion of the Dow and percentage change of the moves. I think Perry has a sheet on that. I want to say it's like maybe 7% or something. That or 17%. Some number there that Apple makes up of the Dow move. Nice. So for those of you interested in Forex trading, we've got Brian and Rob Gill going to be launching Major League Forex over there soon, and Rob just hit me up. He had you guys can see it in the Forex chat there, he had a Euro JPY long that he took this morning. Ended up pulling out about $4,200 on that. That is money. It's a nice looking trade. Now that's what we need to find in the indices this morning. Total range. 59.5 point range so far in the Nasdaq first 9 minutes of the day. So we're looking at about $1,200 per contract move so far. We're just shy of tagging that $7,000 number. I think that's going to happen now as I'm talking. So pushing through 7,001 at the moment. Again, this is that breakout level, 69.79 quarters here. I did not anticipate, or nor would I think that this is going to be the case today, that we rip basically 70 points off the open in the first 10 minutes of the day. That was definitely not on my radar of things to pay attention to. Nasdaq's up 0.77% today, and the Russell's 0.08% today. And those were kind of lockstep down around 0.25% this morning here, just a mere 30 minutes ago when we started doing the morning trade plan. So definitely kind of an unexpected move here, in my opinion, for the Nasdaq. And let's see here. I don't really even know that there's a way to take advantage of this with either futures or Nadex at the moment. I think we have to be patient, wait for some type of little divergence trade, and potentially could snap off a little bit of a short here. And maybe that's what we're setting up, kind of right up in here at the moment, getting the new highs there in the Nasdaq. Traded up to 7012, so 7012. I don't think yet. It's definitely still got a little bit more momentum here to go. And maybe what we do there is we time this Nasdaq potential for a pullback here with the S&Ps running into resistance at 27.51 quarters. So about 4 points away there for the S&Ps, and we'll see kind of where that ends up putting the Nasdaq at, if it's going to continue to push higher here into kind of that resistance level in the S&Ps. There is a signal here so far in the Nasdaq to the downside, but again, obviously with this strength that we're seeing here, and kind of the change of trend potentially happening on the daily, already happening on the hourly chart, not going to be so focused on short side divergences here until we're running into a little bit more resistance, which right now we just don't have at this point in the Nasdaq. Putting in new highs again there, 13 quarters, 1350s, 1475s. Some new highs there. S&P's pushing up 2748s. 13s. Now, it would be great if I could say that I had some type of long this morning that I missed. Like that would, make me feel a little bit better to think that I was actually looking for the right direction here. But I don't. Like I didn't know the Nasdaq was going to rip 77 points in 12 minutes here right off the open. Especially when I was looking for kind of a slow range-bound day with all of the election news going on. So, I'm not upset here that I missed this move just because I did not have a plan or did not see that it was the potential to happen there. And if you did see that, kudos to you, and hopefully you guys were able to, capture some of that. Maybe you took it over the 69, 79 quarters there and just trailing it up, or maybe you took it over 69.45s here and got targets at 69.79s. But for me, did not capture any of this just yet. I'm going to wait and see what happens when we run into resistance here. About 4 points away still now in the S&Ps. Hopefully. Maybe the Russell's the short here. It hasn't had as big of a move, so there's not as much room for a pullback here. If we're looking at this, Russell's had a $7 range on the day. That's $350 per contract. Nasdaq's had about 80 points of range on the day, and that's $1,600 per contract. So even if the Nasdaq pulls back, 20% of its move today, you're still looking at a nice, $300 to $400 trade per contract. The Russell's got to pull back pretty much its entire move for that to be the case here. So again, no positions just yet for me. And this will be interesting. Maybe this is a lead-in or a setup here to what's to come for the elections. Maybe it's a switcheroo of some sort here. Alright, Nasdaq just put in another new high there, 70.19 quarters. I do want to short this market so bad. S&P's coming up 2 points away from that resistance. Looks like Perry said Apple is 5.41% of the Dow. That was close, 7%. Yeah, there's still a divergence there in the Nasdaq on that new high. I want to see that line up with resistance in the S&Ps though. That's what I'm really looking for. So maybe we throw a short out here just to test the waters on let's go with 2050s. I'm gonna put one contract. Sorry. I'm going to put one contract short here, Nasdaq 70-20-50s here if we rally up. That should be somewhere in alignment with, kind of what the S&Ps do if they run into resistance. We've got a nice divergent signal in place up there. We've got plenty of room for a pullback here, even just to 7,000. Again, this is a big move, one direction, one-sided so far here this morning. And, this is not the A+ play that I like to see, that I like to trade, right? So I'm only putting one contract out there, seeing if we can come up, tag some new highs here in the Nasdaq, end up getting that divergence and taking this back down into kind of 7006 or so. So boom, went ahead and got filled on that, and we'll see. I mean, it could it could just continue to chug higher here, and probably could have waited a little bit on the entry because of the S&Ps are just now tagging 51 quarters, and Nasdaq's about 7 points higher than where I got in at. So that was most likely the thing to do, which is what I said before. But again, I just threw one contract out there. I'll give it a couple $100 worth of risk here and see if we can't get a pullback. If not, this market is super strong here, which obviously we can see from the morning, and most likely is going to kind of hold these levels that it's accumulating here. And swing targets are up into 71.45s, and we'll have to switch gears and look for some type of long entry at some point. Alright, S&Ps have traded 51 quarters to the tick there. Nasdaq's coming back down here trading those 2050s. That was the entry there. We'll see if that spike high there up into 2950s is actually going to end up being kind of those spike highs in alignment there with the S&Ps. Somewhere down around like 7006 or so. We'll see here. I'm going to wait for what I think is going to happen here is we'll get kind of a little bit of a rally here, maybe up into like 26s, 27s, not quite new highs here. And then once we're able to kind of establish that and then change the trend on the small time frame, kind of back down here under 70.20s, then I'll either look to add to the position to cap the risk based on that pivot, or leave it on and trail that stop down, or set the stop in that place above that pivot, and then kind of measure out the risk reward ratio from there. So I do think we get one more kind of pop here, 26s, 27s, and then can get a little bit of a pullback. Wouldn't be surprised to see the S&Ps kind of poke over those 51 quarters. I mean, we did trade that level to the tick so far here. Alright. And again, this is not, I want to say this is not an A-rated play by any means here. Let's see. Came up tagged 28.25 there, looks like so far in the Nasdaq. So let's see if that's going to end up being enough there, and if we can start to get a pullback from that point. And again, I probably had a bad entry on this. I mean, getting short, just throwing a number out there at 2050s there. Probably could have had this short somewhere between 26s and the highs there when it lined up with the S&P resistance at 51 quarter, right? That's what I had said. That's what I was looking for, what I was waiting for. I didn't really expect us to pop through those highs by about 10 points there, which is what it ended up being. Prior highs were 19 quarters. We traded up into a high so far of 2950s. But again, that's where, like you were asking this morning about the stop losses, that's the market moving, 10 points in a matter of a few seconds in the Nasdaq. So that's, $200 per contract. That's an equivalent of 4 points in the S&Ps. So let's see if we can get this first red bar here on a 5-minute chart. And because of my entry, maybe it's something that I take off a little bit early here and see if we can reestablish, kind of up towards those 26, 27 numbers. We've got S&Ps right into resistance there, and probably should have waited for, the better entry there, but gonna let this do its thing here. Push down to a low of 1750s right there, and at the same time too, only having one contract on, makes this position a whole lot easier to manage. And I don't want to choke this out. Like, it does have the room to get the pullback. I know it can still kind of rally here against me a little bit, kind of up in those 25, 26s, and that's where I should be short from if I had followed what I said. First thing there with the running into 51 quarters. But again, one contract, I'll give it the room it needs in order to manage it effectively. But the smart decision here is to probably go ahead and scratch this and then try and reestablish it at higher prices somewhere up in here, 26s or so. So that probably would have been the re-entry there. We traded up into a high of 26s there, and can now look to see if we can get a little bit of a sell-off and kind of down into those levels. It is 9:54 here, so 6 minutes to go till 10 o'clock, first half hour of the day. Nasdaq coming in with a 90-point range. I mean, who knows if we're going to get a 100-point range on the day. I would not be surprised. I don't think that's out of reach here. Alright. I think I'm going to go ahead and scratch this trade, to be honest. I think that is the thing to do here. Let's see if we can get about a 1.5 to the downside, kind of under 19s, and go ahead and I'll lock in a one-tick trail stop there. But this type of pattern is not looking like something I want to sit with a short on. Can always reestablish it at higher prices, and again should be short at a higher price here. So I do want to manage this appropriately, even though it is only one contract. Right,
Order filled.
It still can work, and it may work better now since I closed it out. But I do think we can get one more pop to the upside there, just the way this pattern's kind of setting up. And I didn't quite follow the rules there in getting the short off when S&P's hit the resistance of 51 quarters. So go ahead and take that off. It probably works for you guys now since I'm out of it, and I'm okay with that. But if it does set up here and can get a re-entry for me, then I will take that. So a small loss there on the 2 or 3 points on the stop there. And again, had I gotten the right entry, that makes a big difference. If I'm short from 26s, then I'm able to trail that, break even basically, and see if this wants to work. I don't think it's going to work just yet. I think we got one more push here. Yeah, check out crude oil. Yeah, so crude oil I think goes lower. Coming down here, sitting on morning lows here about 63.02, 63.01 is that morning low. We got a small level in place here at 62.99s. I think that gets cracked. I think we got room down here to 62.15s. I did get filled on that Nadex position. Sold that for an average price of 87s. That's the 62.20s. So I am going to go ahead and put a buy order in place for 51 bucks on that. Buy at 50. It's one contract. and see if we can't get that to kind of roll over. I don't know if that's something to trade futures with here. Let me see. I'm not getting. What? Interesting. Alright, let's see here, make sure. Alright, Nasdaq came up, popping in, putting in those new highs. S&P's put in those new highs there, 51.75. It's a little bit through kind of that level there, 51 quarters. I think that's good. Russell not getting new highs, Dow not getting new highs. See if Nasdaq can push another few points here, and then I'll look to kind of put on that short again. And with that, I think we've got some room to get this moving. I'm going to go ahead and sell one right here.
Order filled.
And look to see if we can't get a move kind of back over 30s and grab another. So I'm going to short the Nasdaq off that resistance in conjunction with the S&Ps. Boom, there we go. So I didn't get the second trade on that one, so I only ended up with one contract there from like 28s. But starting to get that pullback there, and that was what we were looking for, right? That's the picture perfect type of using level to level there combined with the divergence in the Nasdaq and the S&Ps there. So one contract on that trade so far is up about $195 per contract. I only have one on, unfortunately. Was looking to try and snag another one if we could push over 30s. And we'll get this nice little pullback here and see if we can't pull this down a little bit more. So that's the type of reaction we want to see on divergences at levels like right away. There's a nice swift move. That's about 20 points so far. A little over 20 points so far off of highs in the Nasdaq, which is 400 bucks per contract. This one line I have on is up 265 bucks. And again, I'm not trading big size today. Well, one lot is, obviously the smallest that you can trade. But not trading big size here, and we are having some big moves. But at the same time, this was not part of my initial plan for the day. This trade, nor this movement here that the Nasdaq's seeing. So I'm gonna give it this first rally back here. Again, this should stay somewhere under 25, 26s there. That resistance level, kind of wedge that we formed here inside of this move. So somewhere under 25s basically. And look to see if we just can't get this kind of back down under these lows here. And if we can do that, then we'll start trailing in and putting in a stop loss there for this trade. So hopefully you guys were able to pick up a little bit off of that short there real quick. This is not a trade that I'm going to let turn into a loser here. So my entry is 27.75s. So at worst case scenario, it is going to end up being a break even at this point. We've got a little over 10 points here in that trade so far, and that's not a trade that I want to come back and take a full stop loss on, because it has already hit kind of the 10-point profit target, or already has a 10-point profit built into it, and now that that changes the risk reward as we kind of come down here into the potential for kind of that 7007 target that we were looking for, somewhere down in there. The risk reward changes as the market price changes, given open profits and things like that. So your risk reward at entry, that risk reward is still the same, right? If you risk 5 points on a trade at order entry, that number does not change. But now if you've got a trade that's open and you have 15 points worth of profit in that trade, and your stop loss is still 5 points under your entry, you're now risking 20 points on that trade to potentially make whatever that number is. Alright, see that pop-up high was 2250s. This pop-up high here was 23s. I'll give it one push over 23s, but definitely not taking anything less than a break even on this. So will not lose on this position. And what I'll do, I'll go ahead and put a stop loss in place, 27 quarters there. And let's see if we can't get this to continue to flush to the downside. And then I'll start trailing that stop loss down as it moves in our favor. And that's what I want to see. Sorry. Alright, NASDAQ coming down here. I'm going to go ahead and pull trail stops in down here over 23s. So there's no reason for us to give anything of this back here. And we're kind of coming down close into where we want to be. So I'm going to start pulling this down in, putting in trail stops over 12s. And we're kind of right into this profit target. So we're going to go ahead and pull this in 0875s.
Order filled.
And I'm out. Boom. 0875s got out. So orders on that filled at 2775s and trailed that out at 0875s. So not a bad little trade there. What is that? Not quite 20 points, 19 points. So is my math right? Yeah. That was going to be embarrassing for a quick second. 2775s minus 08.75s. Yeah, so 19 points there in the NASDAQ, and that's good for us. $20 a contract, 380 bucks there. And it's still got a little bit more here in it potentially, but I would trail stop over those 1050s if you are still in this trade at the moment. This is kind of that target level we were looking for initially. We had good risk reward ratio on this trade, and was able to really not take any heat at all on the second trade. And all of that's stemming from this divergence right here. So all of that's coming using this divergence indicator right there, lining that up with the level to level there that we had at 51 quarters. That traded 51.75, so 2 ticks through a level in the S&Ps. Really can't get much better than that. And got the nice pullback here, and it still could have some room to go, but all in all, I think what was the fill time on this? So filled on a short 9:59 and closed out at 10:05. So basically 6 minutes and $400. I'll take that. Let's see. My stream is not updating. Interesting. $62.96. Can you guys still see my screen and hear me? Sound check 1 2. Maybe the internet's broken again. I'm getting a little bit of a looks like an internet issue. I don't know. I think. Alright, I'm going to kill the stream and start a new one here.